Let's talk about the 7 to 9-year-old stages of development, their physical stage of development. 7 to 9-year-olds, by the way, I want to say 3 and 4 is my favorite and 5 and 6-year-olds are my favorite, but really 7 to 9-year-olds, when I launched my core skills program here, it's one of my favorite classes because I had 7 and up together. Raise your hand if you combine 7 with older kids, 7 and up. Okay. However, when I had 7 to 12-year-olds, my 7, 8, 9-year-olds were my hardest because they were the ones who struggled the most. They were the ones who needed the extra help, who weren't as technically proficient as the older kids, who were dropping out because it was getting too hard and they were getting burnt out. Where now that we've understood the stage of development, it's become my favorite. Okay, so 7 to 9-year-olds typically they have weak 5 motor skills, therefore proficient technique is not quite there yet. As I mentioned, at 7 years old is where students start to write in cursive in the 2nd grade, right? Is that right? You start to learn how to write in cursive. But it doesn't mean the day you start learning how to write in cursive, your name's going to be great. As a matter of fact, my name still doesn't look good in cursive. That's because we don't write anymore. But it takes a while. And that's where a lot of coaches and instructors and even parents alike get it wrong. They think because now that they're starting to write in cursive that it should look really good pretty quickly, and it doesn't happen that way. So expectations. They're gonna struggle with fine motor skills in their block strikes, kicks, and stances. They're gonna be sloppy when jumping, spinning, switching feet, and they're gonna have poor application of stretches and things like that. Why is this important? Because if you have a 7-year-old next to a 12-year-old and they do their form, who should look significantly better? The 12-year-old. And the average parent who's watching their child and the average coach and the average martial arts instructor, they both should look good. And that's where we get it wrong. So we got to understand that their physical stage of development, they're not going to have proficient technique. Their spin kicks, if you're in Taekwondo, shouldn't look the same. Their side kicks, that perfection in the kicks, should not look the same. Their punches, even the timing on when they throw their punch, should not look the same if they're 7, 8, and 9-year-olds compared to a 10 and up. But what if it does? For their technical application in their wrists, in their knees, whatever move they're doing. So going up to the mom and dad, because you will have anomalies. There's going to be anomalies in class. That 7-year-old who's just a rock star, has amazing technique. You're going to have those. Hunter broke the blackboard in the 5 and 6-year-old class. You guys know, if you understand the blackboard, how hard it is to break if you're using those boards. He broke it in the 5 and 6-year-old class. So you are going to have them. You want to point that out. But you don't want parents to compare them side to side with the 10 to 14-year-olds. So understanding in their physical stage of development, technique is just becoming something that you should start to focus on. We shouldn't focus on wrist movement and everything like that with 5 and 6-year-olds. So you're just not quite there yet. I shouldn't say you shouldn't. There's other things you could be focusing on that are going to be better for their growth and development in the 5 and 6-year-olds than technique. At 7 years old, that's where you can focus on technique because that's where their brain now is starting to grow and develop in the way where they can understand what you're meaning. In other words, it's going to be more retroactive. When you're working with a 5 and 6-year-old on their form, if you're focusing on wrist timing, you're focusing on the lock in the heel, those types of things, it may be retroactive for them because they're not quite there yet, and if they don't get it and you're asking it from them, then they're going to feel like they're a failure. So it can be retroactive for their stage of development.